Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers podcast, where a group of friends share music with each other and tell each other what they think about that music. I'm Petey, your man with no plan. Here with me, as always, is my crew, my team. We've got Brett.
Don't you steal my sunshine.
We've got Drew.
Oh, what?
And we've got,
okay, now I get it. Sorry.
and we've got Patrick.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Indeed. We're here to talk about music. And the album that we're talking about is provided by me. I'm providing the album this week. And it's a interesting little hip-hop album collaboration between fantastic rapper by the name of Talib Kweli and producer Madlib. They dropped it. They dropped it 10 years ago, which is crazy. 10 years ago, for free, in January of 2007. Was only up for about a month or like a week or something like that.
Yes, a week.
And then it was released officially in around March of that year. But it was a very interesting album, a very interesting collaboration of styles that worked really well. But we'll talk about the music in a bit. Expectations. I'll start with Brett. What were your expectations coming into this?
I had never heard of this album. This is a little outside of my wheelhouse, and I didn't immediately recognize who I was dealing with here. But I soon found out I am somewhat familiar.
Mm-hmm.
As I don't talk enough while Petey takes a drink.
Yes. Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I am familiar with Talib Kweli. I'm a Black Star fan, and also I think he's shown up on a couple of tracks we've listened to on this show in previous hip hop related episodes, but I don't think we've done anything where he is the featured artist. I am, until this point, unfamiliar with Madlib other than his books from my childhood, but got that out of the way.
Yeah.
But we got jokes.
Yeah.
I was until now unfamiliar with Madlib and his production work, but yeah. So I knew what the rapping would sound like. I did not know what the music behind it would be.
Madlib, a man that provides a platform for people to make clever wordplay. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
One, have we not done Black Star?
No, somehow.
Not yet.
What? Okay, well, we have to fix that eventually. Because you're right then. Because yeah, I'm familiar with one. Madlib, never heard of, right? I never... Like, I was not familiar with Madlib. It is not a name that I recognize. But knowing Kweli and knowing what he sort of dives into and the fact that he takes a more artistic approach to things for the most part in the projects he does, I was excited to hear what this would provide. I knew the lyrics were probably going to be pretty smart overall. Yeah. But I didn't know what the musicality in the back was going to be like from one Madlib, so I was excited to hear.
With the Madlib invasion. Yeah. The musically speaking, let's talk about the kind of themes on this. Musically speaking, Madlib as a producer is known for being I think it was just the term used for him, I think in one review was that he's called the crate digger. And he is one to utilize. He's a vinyl. He's an old school DJ. He grabs records, spins them, puts them together, and makes beats that way. I believe he also uses instruments, but like that's kind of his bread and butter, and that's his wheelhouse for sure. Both of these guys have connections between of being kind of with similar collaborations, like of Talib Kweli, of course. Where we've seen him before is on an album on Danger Doom's Mouse in the Mask as a feature artist, collaborating with MF Doom. Madlib also famously a collaborator with MF Doom. Another album I've considered in Mad Villainy, which is their big album that is well known from them, which is a whole other bit of craziness with those two. But yeah, it is, musically speaking, it is, Madlib kind of creating a fantastic platform for rapping with his instrumentals, like crafting together beats really well that are interesting and cool to listen to on their own, but don't get in the way of what's important, which is the lyricism, the flow, the rapping. Talib Kweli still shines here. Like I joked earlier, the Madlib, the joke, Madlibs, from our childhood, it works because he's the guy that provides the platform for the person creating the wordplay, and it works really, really well in that regard. And I think and he definitely does that here for Talib Kweli, who's a fantastic rapper, super intelligent, super creative, and super tight with his lyricism and flow. Well, let me ask you guys what you thought. What caught your attention, Brett? What were the themes elements that caught your attention? How would you describe this album musically?
Well, I mean, I don't want to overlook the fact that this was an album that was released to people on MySpace. 10 years ago, that was how the cutting edge, people didn't do that. That is, and also the alternate cover done by Banksy. We are in 2007, everybody. But no, this is definitely going back in my mind 10 years ago. This was stuff that I was hearing around. This is a really cool album. And I like it because there's a whole lot of dynamics going on between the smoothness of the beats and the hooks and the creamy compressed analog sound of these old R&B songs that have been sampled. They're really, really fat, and it's a very very nice little smooth background for a very percussive and hard-edged vocal style to pop out. Like it very much does not get in the way. And there's a lot of weird ambient stuff thrown in, so like some really blown out fuzzy clips of things that I didn't really have the time or the knowledge of how to track down what everything was, but it really all came together in a way that was very well produced, and it felt like a living, breathing thing. It wasn't so synthetically, it wasn't grown in a lab like some of the albums that we listened to. It definitely had some quality to its edge.
Yeah. Drew. Patrick. I forgot initiative order for a moment. Patrick.
Okay. We can switch up initiative order.
Well, what weapon speed taken into account? It's pretty cool.
Patrick, what were the themes and elements that caught your attention?
So, coming into this, I knew what I'm getting with Talib Kweli. I've heard enough of his stuff. He has a really, really good style. It is not the most aggressive percussive rap, but it's also not like super silky laid back stuff. He's got a good mix of both. He's got his thing that he does well. Madlib on being a DJ, producer, whatever title he would prefer to be called here. I was kind of really, really enjoyed what he did. I'm not always in love with record scratch as an aesthetic in music, in rap music, because it gets used a lot, and I think a lot of times it is literally applied last step in Pro Tools. But I feel like a lot of this probably was done with tables and a stack of albums, and he does this thing that some people do where the beats aren't quite where you'd expect them, and they don't always resolve when you think they would resolve if you're thinking in normal 4/4 music and traditional chord progressions, if you think sort of on a music side. So you get times where it feels like the beat is off time or stuff is in the wrong place, but it all kind of makes sense at the end. And it's really difficult for me to describe because I'm not that smart. But I like it, and I think it's really cool, and it's one of those things that anyone can figure out how a drum machine works and rap over that, it takes something really, really takes someone with a lot of skill to like take a pile of music that, you know, was something else and turn it into what's here.
Drew, what were the themes elements that caught your attention? How would you describe this album?
So I got from Talib Kweli what I expected, right? Which is a very intelligent rapper with a really great wordflow. His thought process, the way he not only is sort of self-referential to the genre himself, things like that, but also speaking on like different social things and what he sees in the world, like, is always really good and always appreciated by me. I don't like rap usually that is all about hoes and area codes, unless it is specifically hoes and area codes.
Hey, now you watch your mouth.
Unless it is, I said unless it is.
Watch your mouth.
Hey, if the Huey Lewis in the News joke had to die, we have to have a new one. Sometimes on this record, it almost gets his word flow almost gets a little predictable, but I'm gonna let it slide because it's still some of the more intelligent side of rap coming out. Period. From him, so you're allowed to lax on something sometimes when you're saying something important. Madlib, like I said, I'm a lot less familiar with, so I had no idea. And this is researching him. This is the first time I've heard him ever. I know I should go into the Mad Villain stuff, and I haven't. And I apologize for that. But then now I know why I definitely need to. I think his production on this is actually really cool and really interesting. There was some things that I don't really like, and we're going to get into that for sure, especially with one specific song. There are some things that he adds that I'm not a huge fan of. If you know me, you might already know what I'm going to say in the next block, but there's an instrumentation, as Brett said, a groove, some livelihood that actually like feels a lot less manufactured than most stuff in hip hop does. A lot of times there's some life to this, and there's some underpinning, and there's really cool stuff in there. There is some layers in this music, and it flows in a really weird way from just the musical standpoint, and yet it never pushes itself too far in. Another album that we did that had Talib Kweli on it, the DJ Okarari stuff that I brought in. The cool part of that was seeing how you construct a beat with a singer or rapper on it, and then one without. And I want to see an album like that from Madlib now, because like I think that it would be a really cool thing to see how he reacts without the rapper on it, because how he fits his beats in with what a rapper can do, and like leaving a lot of space in there for someone to play in, I think is what's really, really supremely well done.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that really works well about Madlib, and I think that's the X factor on this record. And we talk getting into like the tracks. We do the record breakers thing. Start with the show. It announces the album really well, and it kind of creates like a little just here we are kind of a thing where it's with the kind of the way it works the horns and off of the sample, and kind of the tone of it is really cool and interesting, and it's just a nice little hotbed of just letting Talib work and flow over the beat, and then you get other songs like you get Over the Counter Intelligence, which is fantastic and intense, and kind of had like, you know, a strong message to it, and a strong kind of like accusatory message, which was really cool. and a little bit of a kind of almost like a storytelling aspect to it, and it was fantastic. And then you also have something like Happy Home, where it's just very cool, very, again, more storytelling. It's basically Talib Kweli telling his family tree, and kind of paying tribute to his parents and his grandparents, I guess, in a sense, and telling their story and ultimately having it be the reason he's here, kind of paying tribute to that. Yeah, and those are some of the kind of tracks that just really highlight it. I mean, you could talk about all of these tracks, but because every track had something, a little bit something to like pull out and zero in on, that kind of made it shine. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I also thought the show was a great opening track. That big horn melody with the like little electric piano tinkles. The record needle pop was a little bit distracting on the track, but I got over it. It's just part of the aesthetic. The time is right. I thought that the bass line and the beat were pretty fantastic, and what the way that they meshed with the vocals was really tight. Yes, aesthetic. Add some more C's to that, Drew. There's some back channel shit talking going on. But Happy Home. I like the scratching. I do like scratching and like the little blown out clips that were dropped into the hooks. It was good. It really added something for my brain to pick apart and try and play with in my listen through. And I think that the album like closes out pretty good. With What Can I Do? There are some like weird dissonant moments where it just like sort of goes off a beat. Again, like all of these songs, the hook and the beat are pretty amazing. The way that like they go really, really well with the vocalization of the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'll start with Over the Counter. The production was really, really good. And it was like, it had that sort of thing where the beat it doesn't feel perfectly in time, but it kind of still resolves itself and makes sense. Talib Kweli gets a little more aggressive in his rap here. It's probably one of the more aggressive songs on the record in terms of what he's doing. And it felt like cool and unique. It didn't sound like every other rap track ever, which is, I think, rap can get kind of all blur together sometimes, especially the lower quality stuff. But this is very much not that. And I thought that song had something really unique and interesting. The Function, that one almost exclusively, I'm talking about it for Madlib's work. Nothing against Talib Kweli, and the Strong Arms Steady Fellow did his job quite acceptably. But the music on that one was that it had a piano melody that had been chopped up in a really, really interesting way, where like the melody wouldn't resolve, and then it wouldn't resolve, and then it would finally resolve like a third time through, and it was cool and interesting, and worked well. And then I think we're all going to probably talk about it because it's really, really good. Happy Home. That song, you could just pick that because the hook is so perfect. Like the hook on that is like everything I think like rappers dream about who don't want to just make it is not the classic R&B hook, but it also is. It's really cool. It's really interesting, and it's very heartfelt. It's a guy telling the story of his family, of his parents, how he got here and how he became the way he is. And it feels really personal. And it's a really, really, really good song, and probably the one I enjoy the most here in terms of just like pure listening enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
We'll start off with the show, because that's what started the record off, and that's the one where I'm going to have to say, unlike Brett, the vinyl, like that vinyl pop did distract me a lot. But even so, the song was still absolutely a fantastic track. It would probably, if it wasn't for that, it would probably be my favorite track on the record. But that was, to me, like very like weird. I get it as a aesthetic with spaces, but for me, that it's not what I'm super down with most days. Time is Right. The beat on that was so incredibly smooth. Like it just like it was simple but effective, and sometimes in a rap song, simple and effective is what I look for. And it sort of stood out with all the other things being a little more complicated as far as the beat goes, that I sort of appreciated it for that. And then The Function, which I think is The Function's going to be the one we all mentioned today. Is that right? But Strong Arm Steady on the feature here were not wasted, in my opinion. To the point where, like, I had not heard of Strong Arm Steady. I got interested. I want to find more, because apparently originally Exhibit fronted this group for a while. So now I want to look up more from Strong Arm Steady, because that has me really interested.
That's some bait on a hook to dangle in front of Drew.
Yeah.
They also have a dude who, like, is an albino, like, in the group, which I think is, like, just gives, like, a really, like, as far as stage presence, I think is kind of a really cool thing. Like, and he's great. Like, it's not like some dumb
As a
shtick.
fan of Edgar Winter's many fine performances. Yes.
It just something like that to me. Like, there was some cool shit on that song, and Patrick talked about the music in it. I'm going to talk about the feature being a knockout of the park on that one, and actually, like I said, makes me want to go see more from that group and see what they're about and sort of their past and stuff. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you guys kind of hit the nail on the head on those tracks, but let me bring it back around the horn and talk about some conclusive thoughts before I wrap it up as the provider. Brett,
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah. Brett, what would be your conclusions on this album?
I mean, this is a very, very solid album. It's very, very well produced, and it's got some very fantastic execution when it comes to the vocals. You don't have to be well versed in the genre to enjoy this album, because I'm certainly not, and I did. Give it a listen, even if you're just slightly interested. And also, you should have listened to it anyway, because that's how the show works. But whatever. I mean, it's okay. It's a good album. Go out there. It's called action. Listen.
Yes. Patrick, what would be your conclusion on this album?
This one was good. This one was probably even really good. I enjoyed it. I think this is one of those albums that I think is reasonably approachable if rap is not your comfort zone. If hip hop is not where your musical tastes lie, I don't think this will scare you away, and I think you can find something here to enjoy. It was very good, well executed. I'm far more curious about like I think Drew said, maybe listening to some of Madlib's other collaborations and other work, because his production stuff was cool and unique, and I enjoyed it.
He did shit with MF Doom.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. Like, that sounds like a cool fucking idea.
Yeah. And it is, I can tell you with certainty that it is really cool. It's really cool. Really odd, but really cool. But that's MF Doom for you. Dude's weird. Dude has had his career behind a Doctor Doom mask. Dude is weird, but it's really cool.
It's okay.
Yes. Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album?
To me, this album is one of those that, going into it, knowing when I know part of it, I knew that I was probably going to be in for something that I enjoyed, and it did not disappoint. It is something that is really well made, really well thought out from the grand scheme of things. It is something that I don't think you necessarily have to care for rap to get, because unlike some rap, it's not just about like the rapper, right? There is complexity to it, and that's what I appreciate about anything that like Talib Kweli is usually a part of, is that there's going to be more complexity to it than just it's a fat bass drum and a rapper. Like, there's more to it than that, and there should be. And this has a lot going for it that's really knocked out of the park. Yeah, there's some weird spots in here and there, but they're nothing to take away from the overall record, which I think is actually pretty fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this album, at the end of the day, was a really great collaboration, and they brought really great things out of each other. Madlib brought really great things out of Talib's lyricism and his flow and his rapping. Working with Talib brought really great things out of Madlib and his creativity. This album overall just was a very, very nice meeting of the minds, and at the end of the day, it just was just a fantastic record. Like, it is a fantastic hip hop record. Smart, creative, fun, well made, and just a fantastic listen. And it's you'll have to. It's not on our Spotify playlist, but you'll have to go seek it out elsewhere. I'm pretty sure that a copy I got was the one that was released for free back in 2007, but I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly if it's true. But it's out there. It's an official release, so go seek it out. Go find it. But yeah, that's it for long form thoughts. Now we bring it all together into short form thoughts, into poetic form, with our haiku reviews. Let's get it popping.
Unlocking.
Yeah. Brett, what is your haiku?
A new taste for me. Near flawless execution, powerful and tight.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Unique production, an enjoyable listen, very good collab.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what is your haiku?
It's a great collab. Talib Kweli and Madlib. Game, recognized game.
My haiku. Dropped online for free, but not lacking quality and a strong message. Boom. And those are our thoughts on Liberation. Talib Kweli Madlib. It's not the last time we're going to see Madlib on this show, I can guarantee. So look forward to that. But that's it for this record. You cannot, unfortunately, you cannot find it on our Spotify playlist. You'll have to seek it out, like I said. But what will be on our Spotify playlist will be next week's record, and that is provided by Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us next week?
I'm gonna. I don't know. I don't think it's weird, but it inevitably will be talked about as weird. Khaki King, one of my favorite guitar players, in her album Junior.
Mm-hmm. So look forward to that next week. But that's next week, and this is this week, and you can of course find us all over the internet. Patrick is at Swagger. Brett is at HibbityBird, HIBBITYBIPBRD. Drew is at Extrusive for X. I'm at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakerPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube and on Twitch. Go check us out. Follow, subscribe, like, share. Until next time, hasta los huevos.